On this episode of the TJ Thorpe Show, Shaun Draughn, and also a good UNC guy, so more Tar Heel Blue on the show, thank goodness. Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, in high school, I was just playing. I was just all raw, just
Right.
doing what I know. Like, I'm just capable of
Right.
doing this. And I honestly didn't realize how good I was until, even when I committed to Carolina,
It was still in the back of your head.
Was like, these guys really want me to come to college? I'll tell you that whole story later. We can come back.
What's going on, everybody? You're tuned into another episode of the TJ Thorpe Show, and I am your host, TJ Thorpe. And on today's episode, we are off the field. I get to rest my legs, my feet, my bones, and get back to the golf course. But before we do that, I've brought 7-year NFL vet and Tarboro legend, Shaun Draughn, and also a good UNC guy, so more Tar Heel Blue on the show, thank goodness.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Shaun, thanks for coming on the show.
You already know, man.
I appreciate you. Shaun's a very busy guy. Let me tell you, he's getting into golf. So he's doing that. He's traveling with his wife and kids. His son's playing sports. His daughter's playing sports. It's a sports family. Absolutely. And they have time, to help out this real estate market here in the North Carolina area. So before we get into all of that, let's get back into how we got to this point here. So without further ado, Mr. Draughn, talk to us about how you got into football. Was it something you picked up from the family as a Pop Warner? I know Tarboro ain't so much out there, but
right.
Obviously you found your way to football. How was that?
I would say early on, it really started, just watching football with my dad.
Right.
On Sundays or Mondays or what have you. We were a Cowboys family. So we watched a lot of Cowboys, just watching Emmitt Smith and Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin during that era. And from there, it just spawned something up in me. And, I think I was always kind of not rambunctious, but, just always have been active.
Yeah.
And, I got into that. And then my older cousins, Ramel and Jamel, they were twins. They were playing for this little league called the Little Warriors.
Okay.
So they were playing, but I wasn't old enough to play yet. So I watched them play, and I watched them. They used to bring home, because we used to go to my grandma's house after school, and they would come there, and I would wait for them, and they would have their football equipment.
Yeah.
And they would let me play with their football equipment, and then from there, it really started to, I really like this, and then I'll play with them, playing in the backyard. And that was really where my love for or the spark came from early on.
So I know I'm very similar. So for me, it was sitting on the couch, watching sports, watching Sundays with my father, and then going out there for really Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then, then going out there, we'd line up like the chairs or the trash can in the yard and
you had a
set it up. We going to the left, right hand up. We going to the right, left hand, left arm up. And so I obviously started out, I played running back starting out. So, I couldn't pick up blitz protection. So I said, we gonna play receiver. Yeah, we gonna let y'all have it. But so obviously, we mentioned that you're from Tarboro, born and raised. Born and raised.
Yep.
And so HighSchoolOT, we are all very familiar with seeing Tarboro in state championships and the Tarboro, is it Tarboro T? Tarboro T. So and everybody, I'm sure when we said that just now, a lot of schools cringed.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
Because
they know you got to do it. Everybody got to go through it at least once this year. So
go ahead and get it out the way.
Yeah. And so coming up, was that something that did you play Pop Warner? Is that something they taught y'all in Pop Warner and then you just kind of take it through to high school, or is it something high school, you just know that's what we're getting into?
So the Little Warriors, where I actually played, was in Leggett. So it wasn't in Tarboro. So Tarboro had a rec league. It was Little Warriors, then another school, Southwest, because they were all spawned from like the high school.
Right.
And North Edgecombe High School was the Little Warriors, because they were the Warriors. But they pretty much ran a wishbone too.
Okay.
People call it wishbone, some people call it, but we call it the Tarboro T. But yeah, we ran a lot of that. When I was playing, there wasn't a lot of passing going on. And Tarboro, I think they did the same thing. Naturally, with Tarboro running it for years. But I think in that area, just running backs is the thing. Running the football is is glorified around there. So I guess it kind of incubated then. When I was playing with the Little Warriors too. When I went to Tarboro High.
Right, and clearly, out there in Tarboro, these young men are they're grass fed. They as you can see, Shaun's a very big running back, y'all. And I was joking before we got on here. I was like, yo, Shaun's the reason I decided him and Ryan Houston. So Ryan, if you watching this, now you know. Him and Shaun, Ryan and Shaun were the two biggest running backs I'd ever seen. So I was a corner receiver. I was an athlete coming out.
Right.
And I remember going on my visit, seeing y'all cutting in pregame, and I was like, nah, it's dead. Like no, we're not tackling them. I'd rather be on the same side.
Right.
I block. I do whatever. I'm not messing with that. Business decision. So you like you said, y'all, it's something that's in the water out there. Who did you look up to? Who was that running back? I know you mentioned Emmitt Smith a little earlier, but who was that running back maybe in the Tarboro area, North Carolina, wherever, that you looked up to? Because I know obviously after you, then there's the Todd Gurleys and the list goes on.
Right.
Who was it? Or was it, maybe it was your pops?
So my dad wasn't even a football player. He wanted to play, but back then he was working in tobacco, couldn't make it to certain practices, and which is unfortunate. But my dad was fast. He was a track runner. Long jump. Yeah. They call him Frog. That's his nickname. That's his nickname. But
feeling froggy.
He feeling froggy. That's one of his favorite sayings too. You feeling froggy jump. But so Kelvin Bryant, was, I would say, with the pioneer, of guys going to play. I don't know, the history before him,
right?
Honestly, but Kelvin Bryant was, my mentor. Even when I was in high school, I figured out who he was. My dad, told me who he was, and kind of started to look up stuff about him. He went to Carolina, and then D'Angelo Bridges was one. You probably don't know. He actually I think he went to Winston-Salem. My cousin Derek Black, he went to App State. So he was a returner, running back, corner.
I remember my sister went to App State.
Okay.
And so her boyfriend at the time, I think it was DJ Smith. Now, granted, he was younger, but when I was there, I would see all the Amani Edwards stuff.
Right. Yeah, Derek, he was the real deal, man.
Yeah.
So those guys, just as running backs, are guys that I looked up to that went on to college, and Kelvin Bryant played in the league for quite a while, and those guys that I looked up to. I mean, it's guys that didn't make it that were still some legit runners. There's a lot of guys. I mean, even from the state championship teams, that they talk about them in Tarboro, that didn't really get to play big ball, but were great running backs. So I'm sure there was other guys, that I'm forgetting to mention on that list.
Well, they'll hit you up and let you know that
let me know I missed out on it. Yeah.
That's how it goes.
I'm trying to think on the fly right now.
So we gonna come back to it and see if you remember them at the end. So if you can remember, I'm trying to age him. If you can remember, what was that one moment, that defining moment in high school that it clicked for you? Like, maybe obviously it might have clicked prior to that, but I feel like everybody, once they get to high school, you're like, all right, that next jump coming, and you're like, man, I don't know how this is gonna go. Everybody just tells me it's faster.
Right.
When was it that defining moment where you're like, all right, I've arrived. I know I may not have gotten all of it figured out, but I know I'm pretty good at what I'm doing here.
That's a good question, because I mean, honestly, bro, like in high school, I was just playing. I was just all raw, just doing what I know. Like, I'm just capable of doing this, and I honestly didn't realize how good I was until even when I committed to Carolina,
it was still in the back of your head.
Like, these guys really want me to come to college? I'll tell you that whole story later. We can come back to that. But I remember, like, at a jamboree, this might have been before I committed or after I committed. it was a jamboree. You know how they get all the high schools together.
Yep.
During the summer, and man, I was killing everybody. I'm talking about like, bro, I was just putting moves on people. I'm like, dang, this not working. Like, I'm just like, okay, bro. I remember, and people still talk about this. We were playing. It was a red and white team. I can't remember who it was, but man, I was going for a touchdown. He was the last guy to beat. I could have just outran him. I was like, man, I'm about to just do something crazy, man. I stiff on this dude so bad, bro. He like did a helicopter on the ground,
360 roll, little alligator roll.
Bro, and then you like step over, and then man, you had everybody like, ooh, you know. So I think during that time, I was like, I might be pretty good.
Yeah.
I might be pretty good.
This still feeling like Pop Warner in middle school.
Like it was kind of not easy, but it was kind of easy.
The game
like,
slowed down.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was doing things like you know, the fact that I could outrun it, but I'm gonna stop. And do something on that level. You know, I think that's what kind of clicked for me. It was like, okay, maybe I'm what they say or are telling me that I can be. You know what I mean?
What I tend to do on this show at some point is I give people their flowers. And one thing I've noticed about you from the time I was recruited to watching you play, excuse me, is you're a very versatile back. And in some cases, I feel like you were versatile before it was cool to be a versatile back. and it's not as recognized because it was like, you know, I mean, like, you're a big dude, but you got really good feet.
Appreciate it, bro.
And it's funny because I remember, was it the Tennessee game, Music City Bowl, where you popped one?
Oh yeah.
I think it was like either like a stretch. Yeah, it was like a stretch or some sort of out. Okay, I knew it was something outside, and I remember it was either the corner or somebody came in, outside in.
Oh, the safety came.
Yep. Oh, it's he alley lane field, and I remember outside move.
Yep.
And it was right. I was like, ooh, like it was just because in my mind I'm thinking as a runner, I'm like, that's
you were there though already, right? You were there?
So I watched that game with Deontay and them. No, not Deontay. No. Deontay broke his leg that game.
Yeah.
Todd had the big catch. I was a senior in high school, so I literally. After y'all played, because I had spent so much time up there. I was at everything. I had been on visits.
It might have been an official visit.
I was just always around. I was that recruit. I was just always around.
Yeah, he was right down the street.
Yeah, I was just always there. And so, and Deontay's little cousin played on my high school team.
Okay.
So I was, always there. So I remember that play, and I just, as a runner, I'm like, that's exactly what I would have did. Like, it just made sense. The line was there. It was clear to the safety. There ain't nobody behind them. Boom.
Right.
And I remember watching that. And then once you got to the league, it was a lot of catching out the backfield, a lot of third down stuff.
Yeah.
And so how does that, like, I've always wanted to ask you, and it might be putting you on the spot a little bit, but how does that feel? Like, do you ever watch games now and go, dang, like, if they had to just use me like that back then, you know what I mean? Like, how much longer would I have played, or how much more? Because obviously the game changes, and obviously when you were playing, it was more downhill.
Yeah.
Very downhill. Yeah.
Getting the eye, run downhill.
And so now you see these guys incorporating route running. Obviously, I know you can run route.
Right.
Obviously, there's a big mismatch there with the speed on back. What types of things were going through your head when you put it down and you were like, dang, man, look at Gio out there out there getting ball. You know what I mean? Going crazy. Shout out Gio.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, where do you see? How do you feel about where the game was and where it's going now?
You know, just back then, I think they did kind of use me, like with John Shute. You know, he was a mad scientist, so he was, trying to create matchups and stuff. And I remember one game in particular was the Georgia Tech game in 2008, maybe. I think it was 2008, where he started to split me out like as a receiver, like running bubbles and stuff. And the crazy thing is, we did that and it was successful. We didn't really keep doing it.
Right.
But
either that or they did it to Greg.
That's true. or get around at the goal line. That's neither here nor there. but yeah, I mean, I felt like I always felt like I had good hands, but you know, I really didn't get to display that in college, which I think would have helped me, you know, in draft stock or whatever. But when I got to the league, that's kind of how that's pretty much how I was used.
Right.
A lot of third down, I can pick up the blitz and I can catch and run routes, and I kind of carved out that niche,
Right.
which I loved, because I think I lasted that long because of that, because they had their main guy, their future guy that they wanted to, run the inside outside zones.
And who was that, real quick? Who was that when you were in San Fran? Who was it? Was it?
So when I was in Kansas City is really when it started.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went there after the Redskins, and I was behind Jamal Charles, Peyton Hillis.
Yep.
Jeez. Yeah. So Thomas Jones.
Yeah, I was about to say. Hold on.
Yeah. So
I forgot
that
about
was in
that.
11.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I was behind those guys. So those were the runners. But they still wanted to use me. So they started putting me in on third down. It was like my coach told me, like, if you can block, you gonna play. So they put me in, started to block, and then they started to throw me passes, in which I think I really developed into that versatile back when I got to the league, really.
Okay, and so it's funny because I was gonna tease you about that. I'm glad you said it. Are you a Cowboys fan and was drafted to Washington or signed with Washington?
So I was a Cowboys fan, and bro, it's a lot of stuff that go with that, and I was actually in Maryland. I was training at the time, and it's a long story, but the running backs coach for Washington, Bobby Turner. You should have been there with him.
I had Randy Jordan. He had just left.
That's right. That's right. So Bobby Turner, we talked a lot during the combine, the NFL combine, and then we just developed a rapport. And he was really the only one that kept in contact because that was the year of the lockout.
Yep.
So long story short, the draft went on and on. He kept calling me like, we're gonna draft you with this next pick. We got. I was like, I bet.
Like, come
He's
on
like,
with it.
come on with it. They didn't draft me. Drafted a running back. Called me again. We're gonna draft you with this next pick. Didn't draft me. So he was like, we didn't get to draft you. Draft was over. We didn't get to draft you, but we would love to still have you come. And then after that, the lockout lifted, and then I had like 15 teams call me, and I could have picked, really any team I wanted, and the Cowboys was one. I kick myself to this day because I called my parents. I told them to pray about it, and they said, "Go Cowboys." And I had other things in my mind like, well, I'm already here. My daughter's here. I just had my baby girl.
Right.
And then I had a rapport with the coach. And I made a decision based off of that, and
do you think it would have been different in Dallas?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't. It's hard to go back and say, like, that was one regrets that I have, to this day. But, it still worked out where I was playing 7 years and may have worked out to where I stayed with one team longer, as opposed to being on 9 different teams.
Right.
But it worked out the way it was supposed to.
Cool.
It was supposed to.
Well, and that's dope, because obviously everybody doesn't get that opportunity to play for as many teams as you play and then last as long as you lasted. So kudos there, and I know I envy you. But so now we get into why UNC, because obviously your time at UNC slightly overlapped with my time, but more so what you kind of endured there, I felt in recruiting, be it more so the sanctions. So obviously I know Coach Davis and them obviously left an impression on you.
Yeah.
What was it about UNC that you chose them over everybody else in the state? And then kind of go through a little bit of how that time was when you all were kind of seeing sanctions and that season, because it was a very unique season, but you all still had a good bit of success that season.
Right.
So talk about, tell the people a little bit about why, and then obviously that plays into a lot of the recruitment stuff that we've had with a lot of commitments, that NC State, UNC, and even a few little Duke guys here and there.
Right.
But yeah, so like I said, back to you on Why Carolina and then some of your time at Carolina?
So, first of all, I grew up a Carolina fan.
There
Kind
it
of like
is.
growing up a Cowboys fan. You know, if I could have chose them, which I should have, but I was always a Tar Heel. My dad was a Tar Heel. You know, being in-state, for one. I always wanted to go there when I was little. And then, you know, I started being recruited, started getting letters, but like no official offers, you know, until I went to Carolina camp.
Right.
And then I had a soft offer from ECU. So I didn't really get a bunch of offers.
Right.
That was literally my only offer other than ECU. And they wanted me to play safety, which is crazy because I ended up going to Carolina and starting out as a safety until I asked to be switched. But I went there, I went to camp, John Bunton, to like, you know, these little high school camps they have. John Bunton called me on the speaker like, I need to see Shaun Draughn. And he called me, I was like, dang, bro, am I in trouble? I don't remember doing nothing. So he called me, he was like, let's take a ride. So we went around campus. Long story short, he was like, you know, we see you, you know, have done a lot of good things in camp. And back then, my dad, we had my highlights put on a DVD.
Yeah, so I was the same way.
Yeah, so I brought it to camp with me.
Oh.
And they saw the DVD and, you know, me actually doing the camp. And then he was like, if you want to be a Tar Heel, we want you to be a Tar Heel. I was like, yeah, let's go. Where do I sign? So, you know, that was special for me, being that it wasn't like, you know, a written letter off. He literally drove me around in the I think it was Suburban at that time, around campus, and asked me if I wanted to be a Tar Heel. And that to me was super special, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I mean, dream come true.
Yeah.
For sure. So that was the reason I chose the Tar Heels. You know, just always a fan. I grew up a Tar Heel, and then to have, you know, the head coach, you know, extend that offer to me meant a lot. Yeah.
Then you get there. Obviously, there's a coaching change somewhere in there, and obviously not a terrible coaching change. Coach Davis wasn't the worst coach to be stuck with.
Right, correct.
Trust me, I know. So with that being said, it's like, how did everything shift for you? What was your mindset? Because I know a lot of these guys are gonna come into college. Some of them may, you know, transfer portal's crazy, so now you can just pop it or wherever.
That's a whole other animal.
For some of those guys who are going to stick it out and have maybe a coaching change, what was your mindset? Obviously, going from this coach offered me, but now I have to make an impression on this whole new staff and put my best foot forward. Right. What was going through your head there? What mindset were you in?
Well, I was kind of in twofold in that because of the coaching change. And then I actually played safety. You know, I really didn't play at all my freshman year. I redshirted. But then my true redshirt freshman year, Butch was in. And then I played a little safety during training camp. Terrible. And then I was kind of at a crossroads where I was like, man, I might transfer because they won't play me.
Right.
I mean, Deontay and Tremaine Goddard, you know what I mean? Like, those. They ain't playing.
I was about to say Cersei was about to
Cersei was getting reps in front of me. Yeah, everybody was. I was on the low on the totem pole, and you know, this was like spring ball when I was sitting on the side of the borderline depressed. Like, bro, this ain't what I imagined.
Right.
So my dad had been telling me, Kelvin Bryant had been telling me, you need to play running back. Like, I don't know what you thinking playing safety.
Right.
You need to go play running back. And so Butch Davis walked up to me after practice or something. We were talking a little bit. I said, Coach, I need to holler at you. And he was like, well, we can meet after practice. So I went up there to him and was like, Coach, you know, I don't want to seem selfish or anything, but I feel like I can help the team better at running back. And he kind of like laughed at me on the low. He kind of laughed at me. And rightfully so.
Right.
He didn't recruit me.
Right.
So he didn't know what
all he seen was that safety.
He seen was that safety. He saw a raggedy safety there.
And I know Coach Davis.
Right. He don't hide no.
Coming from the youth
exactly.
too.
Exactly. So he was like, yeah, I mean, if you wanna try, I'll give you a chance. In which that's all I needed. We went in the camp, and you know, I ended up going through that. But yeah, that was just going through that whole transition. You know, it's really about again, proving yourself all over again. I mean, you got a blank slate almost if you know, during the coaching change, because most of the time they don't know who you are anyway. So it's really, to me, it was about proving yourself, which I never had a problem with doing. You know, I became very confident, you know, in who I was. I had to knock some dust off.
Right.
But, you know, that first, Coach Davis will tell you, first carry they ever gave me in practice.
Yep.
Out of
Riding
there.
the bike.
Out of there. And he was like, where that been?
Yeah.
Started feeding me. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I really do think it's, you know, about proving yourself. And, you know, the unfortunate part right now is a lot of selfishness, you know, in which you kind of have to be to a certain extent. But, I mean, it's kind of team first, in which I kind of went to him and said, you know, it ain't really all about me. I feel like I helped the team.
Right. But ultimately, you there
to
achieve your dream.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's funny you mentioned that because Ty Smith. So Ty currently plays with the Vikings. With the
that's
Vikings.
my boy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Ty said the same thing you said. He had one offer coming out.
Yeah.
Where you had basically one offer coming out or from around here, and he was like, "Yo, I'm just gonna make the best of my opportunity."
Right.
What for the student athletes that are going, you know, because a lot of guys are going to be in that same boat.
Right.
What would you tell them, like maybe 3 bullet points that they should maybe do now to whenever they do get that opportunity to make sure they put their best foot forward?
I'll tell you one thing is to know what you're doing. Know the plays. The quickest way to stay on or get off the field is to not know what you're doing or know what you're doing.
Right.
Because, you know, in that, especially on defense, like you typically, especially on a DB or something, you the last line of defense. Or if you're a running back, you the last line of defense for pass blocking or something like that. So if you don't know who to block, it's hard to put you in. I don't care how talented you are. If you don't know who to block, you know. So definitely knowing what to do, having the confidence, you know, in your ability, it just stacks on top of knowing what to do. That just adds another layer of confidence, and really just having that dog. Honestly, that's my 3. It's simple.
Yeah.
It ain't rocket science. Knowing what to do, knowing that you can do it, and do 100%.
Yep.
Dog mentality.
And I feel like, and that's glad you said that, because obviously you can see that, and for those of y'all who have not watched Shaun play, go back and watch Shaun play. Go look on the YouTube highlights. You'll see what he's talking about. Trust me when I tell you, you'll see him go from good feet to run over your face real quick, real quick, and a special teams guy.
Yeah,
as
definitely.
well.
Dirty work.
As well.
Dirty work.
A lot of guys, NFL guys, have said the same thing.
Yeah.
The way they lasted is through special teams.
Special teams.
But it's funny, you the 3 things you said, it felt like those 3 things are something that you, because I follow you on Instagram, and I feel like I'm a part of your family as far as the sports aspect goes. I feel like that's something you probably are coaching in your household.
Yeah, for sure.
And so real quick, we'll step away from you. Talk about, you know, the coach dad or Coach Draughn, so to speak, with your son, your daughter, and some of the success they're having early. Is that, I would say, in part due to the genes they have, but some of the things you coaching them at the house?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to be coach and dad because, or turn off that dog mentality, because I just got it all the time.
Right.
Like you know me, like I love people. I love, you know, I'm not like, I ain't gonna cuss nobody out, you know, the type thing. But when it comes to sports, I'm just super competitive.
I saw you at the Toy Hope.
Huh?
I saw it.
You know. Hey, look, it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah.
So I preach that to them. They're young right now, especially my son. He doesn't have that dog yet, but he's just athletic right now. So even yesterday at the tournament, he's like, well, he bumped me. I couldn't catch it. That was the wrong thing to say at that moment.
Contact, big dog.
Like,
hey, fat man,
but you want to play
your
football?
dad ain't the guy for that.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. But yeah, I mean, I with my daughter is different because you know, I'm teaching her, like, you got to do the fundamentals. You got to do the basic things, you know, to become better. Like she's got an advantage right now. She's taller than everybody. So she doesn't have to work
Right.
as hard. You know
Right.
what I mean? I said, but there's going to come a time where that runs out because there's going to be other girls that's way taller than you.
That one girl that's going to UConn from 8th grade.
Bro, that's crazy. That's ridiculous, bro.
Those girls shoot threes for half court. Like,
Right.
What is going on?
Yeah, and they, you know, and it's hard to really, I don't know, show them like, okay, you just because you're athletic, it doesn't mean that you're gonna go to college. They saw, you know, they see me. I went to college. I went to the league, and they think, okay, it's just easy.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do, so it's gonna happen. In part, yeah, but if you got to put in the work first,
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I've planted those seeds, but you know, until they realize they get hit in the mouth, that they're not the only good one out there, then you know it's not gonna click.
Right.
You know, once that happens, they'll remember what I said, and they're
Right.
like, okay, now I gotta get up on my game.
Okay. And so it's funny you mentioned, because both of them in sports. Your daughter's doing very well, and we talked about UConn real quick, and so that goes into the women's basketball realm. She plays basketball, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Because recently, I don't know if everybody knows this, recently my producer and other host, Nick Stevens, decided that he wanted to write a very nice piece on NIL and high school sports in North Carolina.
Okay.
So I know I wish it was going on when I was
When
playing,
we were
because I
playing?
wish I would have ran it up.
They
I
need
feel
to
like
run that back pay. You
Right.
feel me?
Please back pay.
Back
You
pay.
know, we
we need
accept
them arrears.
we accept debit,
Right. I got Venmo too.
Venmo, Cash
All
App,
that.
Zelle if you're feeling more secure with Zelle. But so when you think about your kid's future, Coach Dab, where do you feel like NIL falls in the high school world? Because you know you were given a handsome amount of money, you know, at a young age.
Yeah.
And obviously there were some growing pains and managing that and doing the things right and whatever. But you're here now. What are your thoughts of high schoolers getting millions of dollars? Like, I couldn't ask the high school kids this because I don't think they, not
Fully
just yet,
grasp it.
not just yet. But you might be able to shed a little light on maybe where the world's heading in high school sports.
Well, I think you got to look at the regulation. I think you have to look at the sports outlets that are monetizing their likeness for their views, the broadcasting views or what have you. What are they doing to make money off of these kids? And then I think you go from there. So if you got, you know, high school kids coming to these camps, you know, we got such and such coming, 5-star recruit, 4-star recruit. He got such and such, you know, amount of offers. He's ranked here. You're using his likeness to I guess
Bring in the rest of the crowd for their recruiting
for
purposes.
their recruiting
Right.
purposes. So you're monetizing that. So what are they getting based off of that? And how do you regulate it? So
Right.
you get down, you know, to the nitty gritty of, you know, who's managing that or what have you. But I do think it's a place for it. You know, I think, you know, even kids sports, it's big money. Just organized sports in general. I mean, you're talking about AAU.
The Little League World Series,
Yeah.
they on ESPN every
right.
year.
So, you know, and they're making bank off of it.
Right.
And they're not offering these kids nothing.
Nothing.
But they're going to make the money.
Not even a McChicken.
I'm telling you. So, I mean, I think it's a place for
Right.
it. You know, anytime, you know, you're using God gave you a face and a body and your talents and your gifts for a reason. You know, not necessarily to make money, but if other people are making money off it, then you
Definitely
should be
leverage.
Yeah, it's like a copyright.
Right.
You know, your parents gave you that name. You know, your genes. God gave you gifts, and I think, you know, it can be used, you know, for a good purpose. And you know, if people are making money off of it, you should be the first to make money.
I'm right there with you. I know Nick is right there with you as well. But just to switch gears, because obviously we're running out of time, and I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Right.
But anybody who follows Shaun, you know, and this is a little different because we haven't had somebody who's been kind of where I don't want to age you and say you're old, but you're
I'm
more
up there.
You're more
I'm up there now.
tenured than our previous guests.
Tenderized.
Yeah. But obviously, Shaun, you're more seasoned, you're more tenderized, as you said. You know, you're a vet in all sense of the word, but you're obviously in a different space than most guests that are on the show.
Right.
But post football, it's hard enough to figure out what you're gonna do. It's hard enough to put the cleats down and walk away from it and reinvent yourself. But for those people who will follow and go, you know, look on your gram, look on your social media, they'll see a hefty portion of you and your wife.
Yeah.
And anybody who's in real estate in this crazy market will know Mrs. Draughn, Chandra, correct?
Shonda.
Shonda, I'm sorry.
Sean and Shonda.
Shonda.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mrs. Draughn, my apologies. But she's very intricate, a huge part in some of your success off the field.
Yeah.
Talk about, you know, that family sense and being able to create, you know, this real estate firm, group, whatever it is that you all are doing, but the success you're having in flipping homes and new construction, all these different things, and how it relays to her. But talk about kind of how you all got into that space, or maybe it was something she had that she kind of pulled you into, or what. But how did you find your knack for after football?
Like you said, first and foremost, it started, you know, even from when I was a child, just seeing my family, my dad, my mom. I was blessed to have both in the household and two sisters. So the family thing is ingrained in me, right? So, you know, naturally I took that when I got married. I wanted that.
Right.
You know, I saw how my dad loved on my mom, and, you know, they loved on each other and they loved on us. So that's just naturally in me. And, you know, I kind of took that and wanted to not reinvent, but have that for myself, the drones too, you know, if you will. And, you know, just always loving on my wife, always loving on my kids. Like, my love language is physical touch, I don't even know, quality time, and I don't know what it is, but
those
are
affirmations.
Yeah, my wife knows them,
yeah,
because hers are the direct opposite of mine.
Like a yin and yang, so to speak.
Right, and she balances me out like completely. Like we opposite. They say, you know, I want somebody that's like me. No, you don't. You don't. But anyway, but yeah, I wanted that for my family. We both have, you know, kind of leveled each other out, and she has been, you know, even when I was playing, she had to pack up and move by herself. We moved 21 times, bro, and typically she was the one moving, packing up all the stuff.
So all y'all fellas out there in high school, ladies who have boyfriends going to play college sports and
life
on
ain't
to
for
the
everybody.
pros, if y'all are lucky enough to hold that bond, understand that is a possibility.
That is a very
21 moves, holy smokes.
Yeah, bro. So, you know, that was definitely something that we try to hold fast to in our household. And you know how we got into real estate is, you know, football was slow for me. I ended up getting injured with the Ravens in 2013. I had a high ankle sprain, and then, you know, I wasn't getting, because usually, like, I would go a little bit, but I hadn't went this long without getting signed. And I was like, man, I need to start to figure it out. And I actually had a barber in college. I don't know if Mel's cut y'all hair. Jamel Irvin?
I'm from the area, so I went to, but he was cutting everybody on the team.
In the locker room. So Mel was actually getting into real estate when I was in college, and then he was taking his real estate to get his license, and he was telling me, he was like, man, he told me about the concept of flipping. College, you ain't thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. That's real cool. Nice. So, you know, but it did, it kind of made me want to kind of look up some stuff. So I did, you know, start looking up stuff after college, you know, and this concept. And Mel still, you know, we kept in touch, and he was telling me about these things, and he was like, man, I got these properties that you could flip, you know. And then when I went to Kansas City, this lady from a bank was like, I have a lot of properties that you could buy. Still wasn't thinking about it. But in 13, I was like, you know, I got to figure out what I want to do.
Right.
So I end up we ended up moving back to North Carolina. I actually started to get my license. I was taking the class. Then I ended up getting called by the what was it? It was the Bears. So I ended up getting picked up again. So I'm gonna holler at you later. But then I sparked the interest, and I started getting more into the investment side and the flips and the whole real estate. Anything I could get my mind or hands on about real estate, I was doing. And then I got picked up. Long story short, I went through my career, and I actually started flipping in 14 while I was still playing. I did my first flip then, and kind of did it to where it was kind of remote, but I couldn't really put my hands on it. So I just get my feet in. So I was done. We moved back to North Carolina. My wife actually ended up getting her license. She was like, maybe I can get mine. And she got her license, but then once I retired is when she really started digging into who's create her own lane, her niche. I was like, well, I don't need my license if you're gonna have your license. And then I really started, continuing to do the real estate thing as far as the investing side and the flips and the building construction side. So we have a good little thing going right now.
Y'all definitely making noise for sure.
Yeah, she lists the properties. We keep the money in the house. I don't have to pay another realtor for listing the house, so she gets that, and she looks up the value of the house, what I could sell for, and we got a good thing. We realize we definitely don't need to do the same thing. Like I said, the opposites.
Right.
So you do your thing, I do mine. We come together when it's time, and
And that's kind of like football for real.
Yeah.
It's that sense of the receivers and the running backs for sure not always doing the same thing.
Same goal.
Right.
But not the same thing.
O-line, same thing, all these different moving pieces. Like kids, y'all go to school, keep out of trouble. Don't make me have to jack you up.
And you're going to be good.
Boom.
When you get home, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Right. And we'll take care of the rest. And it's funny because, it seems like I said, everybody in your family, and it's probably due to the morals and a lot of stuff that you are still in there.
Yeah.
Or you and your wife are still in there, but even she's, I would say she's probably top 3, not 3, realtors,
Yeah, she's constantly on all these top 5, 10 lists, and Cary, Raleigh, Durham, she's always on the list.
Yeah, usually after the show, people always want to know kind of like where we can find these things. So where can, if you need a realtor, or if you need maybe a builder, or maybe people looking for home, you have something to sell, where can they, maybe go look up some of these houses or get some help from you or your wife?
Oh, she's on Instagram. She's branded herself, which is another great thing that I love that she's done, as the Triangles Housewife.
Okay.
You can find her on Instagram. She's not doing Twitter. She has a website, but Instagram is her bread and butter. I have 2 pages. One is HF Home Builders. Highly Favored Solutions is our company, and then Shaun_Draughn. Reach out. I'm an open book. That was one thing I would like to say is that don't be afraid to talk to people. Because people, especially the highly recruited athletes, people want to associate with you.
Yep.
And I didn't realize the value of that until I was done playing. But use that to your advantage and sit down with people. Put Instagram down. Go read.
Shake hands.
Go shake hands. Go talk to somebody. People don't talk anymore. Talk to that person. Ask them what they do. It may spark. You might not be interested in what they're doing, but it sparks a conversation. It keeps you in front of them. You build a rapport, and you kind of build your network.
Right.
Because your network is your net worth for sure. But it's tons of stuff. For real estate, when I got into it, I was on this website called Bigger Pockets, and that was very integral. And then I got into this associates called TRIA in the Raleigh area, where there's a bunch of real estate investors that got together. It's a bunch of meetings and informational stuff. So yeah, that's how you can get up with us. And if you're looking to get in real estate, those are some things that you can get into.
Cool. And I appreciate you doing that, because that's the biggest thing. I know I wasn't ever thought at all that I would be in this space. I still kind of am at a loss of words a lot of times talking about it. But from what you said, going out there, shaking hands, being personable, you
Right.
know, and leveraging, you know, the things, the gifts that we've been given.
Right.
And I think that that's huge, and I appreciate you doing that. Who needs to be on here next? Because I know you have some good resources that we can tap into.
Along the same lines, you know, in my arena, I would say Willie Parker would be a good one. From Clinton. I mean,
Yep.
he's not an area guy, but he lives in the area.
North Carolina guy.
Willie Parker is a good one. Torrey Holt.
Mm.
No, it's another good one. Let's see. Trying to get away from football. We want football guys, gals?
Honestly, shoot, I'm willing
Kinda
to take
understand
whoever.
that. Yeah.
I'm willing to take whoever, y'all, because these folks are folks who are just professional figures at this
Yeah,
point. Like
yeah.
anybody can learn, whatever sport. So
Right.
so yeah, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll chop it up about that for sure.
Okay,
Yeah, but those two, I think would be great for this.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, sign it. Take us away, brother. Sign us off. You the man. You the man. I'm just here to you know.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. You know, I just want to say I appreciate you for having me on, thinking that
Yes,
much
sir.
of me.
Yes,
to have
sir.
me on,
Yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've always, admired you as well as a young guy about your business. Like I said, you were around,
Yeah.
and I thought you were already there. So it was about your business then. So
I appreciate
Godspeed,
it.
man, and continue to put God first. Of course, that's for everybody. And lean out into your own understanding is what I signed my autograph. I always put that Proverbs 3:5-6 on that, and just as a reminder that we don't have everything figured out. We never will, and God who knew us from the beginning has our path lined out, but we have to ask the one who has given us that for direction.
sure.
We got to seek him first, and all those things will be added, and I really believe that. I live my life as a Christian. I don't know who else is a Christian or is not, but we have to answer to that one day. So that's who I answer to. That's how I live my life. I govern my life. I govern my family around those morals and principles, and faith. And whatever you do, give it 100%. I had to. I was going to up and downs in the league. I would get mad at the coaches. Couldn't get mad at them. I had to do everything as unto God. That was another scripture that I had to really wrap my mind around. Because if I'm doing it for Him, I'm gonna do it 100%. Like ain't no half stepping.
Right.
And like I said, put your best foot forward and don't be scared to ask for help. Not everybody's gonna help. That's another thing that kind of eat at you. Like, not everybody's gonna help you,
Right.
and not that you're looking for handouts, but you do need direction.
Sure.
Like I said, not everybody has the answers, and that's life advice. Not even sports.
Yeah, no, shoot. You and Ty. So
Yeah.
it's funny you and Ty are boys, because both of you and Ty sent us off. I'm talking about Ty hit it right on nail on the head, and you came back and did the same thing, brother. So again, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Away from your family. I'll let you get back to them.
No
But
doubt.
anytime you need anything from me, please do not hesitate to reach
Likewise,
out.
brother.
And y'all do the same. Reach out. Life is about relationship.
That's right.
If you could do it on your own, it would probably already been done. So we'll get out of there on that note. Good night.
My guy.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.